As the hockey game ends, this downtown Vancouver corner becomes the mecca for parties.
It started as part wake because the Canucks had lost, and part celebration because they'd gone so far. Stream downtown to celebrate an incredible playoff.
More unruly. A fellow climbed up on the guy wires around one of the trolley bus wire arrangements and fell off.
Fans taking to the streets after the hockey game. Then some...
Soon there are premonitions that celebration will turn into chaos. In the center of the intersection, several fistfights erupt as the crowd starts to get...
EHS attendants to call in the crowd control unit. We did take over the intersection, had to use gas at that time, and from there on in, the whole thing just...
Situation, it's almost inevitable that people start to jostle other people, and there are sporadic fights or people trying to rip down signs and that sort of thing. I'm not sure about anger, but certainly a lot of restlessness that occasionally erupts in something more.
Are those fires? An hour and a half, then the crowd was growing rapidly and
occasionally wading into the crowd to make an arrest.
Were left injured, and this was not the first incident of its kind.
That members of the police force don't go into this crowd unless they're
here.
Police
of the thickest part of the crowd. As the ambulances and police moved in to try and assist him, the crowd crushed in, started rocking the ambulances. And
police force members together. We also had some people rocking a large van, which almost tipped over, and had it tipped over, it would have been a very dangerous situation. So it's certainly not the kind of post-game festivities we saw a few days ago.
How would you describe
chaos?
City of Vancouver running wild after losing the Stanley Cup. 20 people have been charged in the riot, 200
partiers, but more of them are climbing beyond the reach of
booze and troublemakers. The party turned ugly, with major streets blocked and more people pouring in.
Times the police have had to use pepper spray to try to stop the crowd. That's when they ventured into the crowd. I heard a dispatcher on the police radio saying, make festivities. What we've had in the last hour or so is hundreds, if not thousands of fans converging on downtown corners like the one behind me. Some of the fans are here probably to have a good time, but when you have that many people, some of them angry, not really sure what to do, you have some ugly scenes. We've seen that already just from our vantage point here. For as much as a large group of people who, for the most part, don't seem to know what to do. Just imagine if you have hundreds, as I say, if not thousands of people coming out into the street, jamming into street corners, and then at that point there's no speaker, there's nobody to cheer, they just mill about. The police are very careful about venturing into this crowd. When they do, they've used pepper spray, no sign of police in riot gear or anything like that, just the regular uniform, but certainly I guess volatile, unpredictable would be words we could use to describe the scene right now.
All right. At 10 o'clock above the roll...
This man walked across a hydro line. Another, at another corner, fell.
One man decides to take on transit wires. Another man who copies the stunt ends up hurtling to the ground. He's now in fair condition.
It acted properly that night, that only when some police members got caught in this crowd while escorting an ambulance was the crowd control unit...
More than 50,000 people jammed the city center after the game, but trouble broke out when one person fell from overhead...
For the riot, some of the police officers trying to help the man were pummeled. A senior police officer said this was the truth.
These things are unpredictable. Some elements of it are predictable, but it will always, to some extent...
As police cleared a path for an ambulance to get to the victim, the situation quickly deteriorated.
Something that we don't control.
Because you could get a situation as there was in Toronto, a million.
Excitement because of the hockey game. They're very disappointed. It was set off by, again, think of the...
And the crowd fought back.
Watch, celebrating a World Series victory, and it is, peaceful. Or in New York, celebrating the Stanley Cup victory.
I think a lot of it has to do with...
Police became targets.
In the wake of the riot, many questions were asked.
Police got tough.
There were 500 police officers battling the crowd, and they say the only way to
Fans said they took to the streets to show support for their team and for their
had to call in the riot squad.
Others used the chaos to
Smashed windows and looted stores, including Eaton's and the Bay.
Here, one man tries to stop the other looters. In some parts of the city, piles of broken glass and looting.